Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout as guest designer for Rosies Studio using the Keeping Cool range. Now I was really taken by these cloud papers and the sunshiny feel, and I've still got lots left, so I decided I was going to do something a little bit different with this layout, and I'm going to use a picture of a baby and it's a friend's grandchild. So starting with the cloud paper, I'm going to start to cut it into squares. These are 1.5 inch squares, and I'm going to do the same with a variety of papers from the 6x6 pad. So I'm just finding the centre of this white cardstock, and I'm going to start to lay these out in a bit of a pattern. So the idea in my mind is I want to create a bit like a modern quilted design using the papers. I think I've got 4 or 5 that I've picked in the end, and I'm going to mix them together. All in very similar tones. They're all blues, yellows and greens, and I'm taking my cue for those from the photograph on the right there. So I'm just laying them out in a pattern. I want to make sure they are taller than the photograph because that's why I keep lifting it over. I want them to be taller than that, and I also want them in an odd number, so I'm aiming to have 5 in each row, and I'm looking at doing 7 rows across. Odd numbers always look better. You may not even notice it normally, but if they weren't, sometimes it does jar things a little. So I'm also trying to be random, and it is really difficult to intentionally be random. So I'm just moving things around, trying to space the colours out. I don't want 2 next to each other vertically, but I don't mind if that happens horizontally. Some are also going to be covered by the photograph. I'm not going to miss any out because I think it will affect the way they look when they're stuck down. But I'm just going to work my way through, cut a few more just to fill some gaps, and move them around until I'm happy with them. And I think that looks pretty reasonable. They're not very central, so I'm just going to move them up a little bit so that actually I can have them equidistant on the cardstock. So I'm now going to come in with some double-sided tape. I've got a couple of rulers in place just to give me an idea, so they end up being equidistant and running across the centre of the white cardstock. And I'm going to slowly but surely start to stick these all down. Now I tend to use double-sided tape rather than wet glue because I find that I can lift them, as you've just watched me do there, and I'm just trying to get the gaps between them the same, and I find that the double-sided tape is a bit more forgiving than wet glue, so that helps me get them into position so that I'm actually going to be happy with them. So I'm just getting the top ones of the 3 that start at the top, and then I'm going to work my way down and stick them all down. Luckily I've done that off camera, so you didn't have to watch all of that. And I brought in some more papers from the 6x6 pad, and I'm going to just back the photos with a couple of the colours that I've used in the quilted design. And I'm going to try and place that there over on the right. And I like the way that is looking. I'm already thinking about the title, and I've brought in some embellishments from the die cuts as well. There's so many to choose from in this wonderful range. So this word says cool, and I'm going to use that as part of my title. So I decide that I'm actually going to add a little bit of stitching to some of the squares, and I come in with my pokey tool, and I decide just to add like a straight stitch all the way around the squares, just for the ones that have the clouds on, just to highlight them a little bit, and also to go with that quilted theme that there is a little bit of sewing, so it's just a nod to that as well. So I've just done one there, and I will come in, and there I've done all of them, even the one under the photo, because you never know, some of it might peek out. Now I don't want to cover up all this quilting, so I'm just going to look to add some embellishments. I really like that sun and the clouds. I think it goes with the sleepy photo. So I'm actually separating those 2 clouds, and I'm going to use this single one as a template, and using white cardstock the same as the base, I'm going to draw around that 3 times and then cut them out by hand. So I know I've cut that one, so I'm going to need to tuck it in somewhere later on, but that's not a problem because I'm going to be using some foam adhesive to apply these clouds. So I'm just bringing in a little bit of pair of snips, and I'm going to work my way around and trim those clouds. Now what I would say is this range is called Keeping Cool, and you'd expect it to be summery. It is a summery photo essentially, but you can use a range for something that's not necessarily what it was designed for. These papers suit this baby photo so well, I couldn't resist using them for it. So bear that in mind when you look at collections, that actually you can use them for whatever photos that you want. There's always, there's so much stuff in this range, it's always going to go with literally any photos that you've got. So to match the white clouds, I'm now going to put my letters on the white cardstock and cut around them so that therefore I can actually lift them up on foam. So it's going to be Cool Boy. So I'm just using the individual blue puffy letters to create the word boy. The cool was already on the word sheet, and I'm going to fussy cut around them. So depending when you're watching this video, this Rosies Studio Keeping Cool collection went live for sale on the 9th of May 2023. I would really recommend it. There are so many elements to this collection. You will find something that you really love, and I really find it really easy to design with. So I would definitely recommend you check it out. So you can find out me fussy cutting here just so I can lift these words up. I don't feel it's going to take too much more embellishment to actually finish this layout. I'm really liking the way that it's looking so far. I think that quilting effect behind the photo is enough interest without distracting from the photograph, which for me is the essential reason why we scrapbook, to record memories. So I'm nearly finished doing that. I would recommend you check out the other videos on my channel that I've used Rosies Studio for. It's all the same collection, and all the layouts look totally different. So do check them out. There are other guest designers too, and lots of inspiration out there. So I'm now trying to place the clouds across, as I want them to be in a horizontal line from the sun going either side of the photograph, and I'm going to bring in some foam to put those on just to lift them up. I've added a little bit underneath. There was a sticker in this collection that said Lazy Days Club. I thought that worked perfectly, and I'm going to add that underneath the title. There is some journaling, but I've added it to the back. This is something I've talked about in previous videos. If I want to record things but I don't want to actually add it to the front, I either journal directly on the cardstock on the back, or I stick a sticker or even an envelope and record it in there, so that for future generations they'll know what I was thinking, but actually it doesn't affect the aesthetic on the front. So I'm now adding foam to these, and I'm liking the placement going across the page. It's funny how just adding a few bits and by raising them up it can make a layout look so different. So I'm just going to pop some bits under those clouds and have them running across. So I feel like it's nearly there now. Thank you so much for watching this video. Do check out this range at Rosies Studio. It's called Keeping Cool. And as I say, lots of die cuts, chipboard, puffy stickers, puffy letters, puffy phrases, stamps. They've also got lots of lovely dies. There's so much to choose from. You'll be spoilt for choice. So I'm just going to stick these last couple of clouds down, and I'm going to cover that cut one with that white one there, so you'll never know that that's what I did. But it spaces them out across the page, so it seems to work really well. It's very difficult to tell on here, but there's some gold accents in the blue squares of paper, and on the sun, and on the sticker, the Lazy Days one. And it really adds a little extra touch to this papers, and you may be able to see it when you see the final photograph of the layout. So I'm just adding a piece there so I can add the date when I speak to the grandmother to find out when this photo was taken. So there it is finished. Can you see that dimension and see that little glint of gold? Here's the full image and some close-ups too. Thank you so much for watching. Do subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and go check out this range at Rosies Studio. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye for now. Bye.